Brought to you by GatewayCitySavers.com.
Softli's Scouting Report, hosted by Cliff Saunders, exclusively on 101ESPN.com.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome on into the Week 9 version of the Softli Scouting Report here on 101ESPN.com. Joined as always by Tony Softli, our 101 ESPN NFL analyst. I'm Cliff Saunders. The Rams are on a bye. We're not taking a week off. Tony, plenty to discuss around the National Football League. Let's start off with Randy Moss. Goes to the Titans, not the Rams. What do you make of this whole situation?
What I make of it is that the Titans have won. I think they've got a good player. They do a vertical passing game with Kenny Britt and some of the other receivers there that stretch that field. And here they have another weapon to stretch that field, open up some things underneath for other receivers, the tight end and the running backs to catch screens and flat routes, and also to get 8 men out of the box so that Chris Johnson can do his thing.
I know this is going to be a loaded question, but what exactly is the problem with Randy Moss? Is it just behavioral, or is there a physical issue with him too?
Well, you know what? Randy's Randy. I mean, and this isn't anything new. This isn't anything that's just cropped up the last year or two. This has been Randy all the way back when they drafted him in Minnesota. Was he disrespectful to talk about the people's food at the buffet after practice? Yes, he was. Should he have not done that? Of course, he shouldn't have done it. But that's Randy Moss. He did it, and he does stuff like that. And that's the kind of things you got to live with.
All right, let's move off the Randy Moss stuff. I think we could all handle that at this point, everything that happened this week. Let's talk about the NFC West. Bigger surprise, the 4-3 Seahawks or the 4-4 Rams?
You know what? The biggest surprise for me right now, I would have to say, are the Rams. You go from 1-15. You got a second-year head coach in Steve Spagnuolo. They draft the Big Easy and Sam Bradford. And all of a sudden now, with that offense moving the way they are behind the young quarterback, the defense is in the second year of the young Spagnuolo, defense. I think what they've done is they've made that step forward. And I think what they do now is they surround Bradford with more weapons, and they'll move forward as they do that.
All right, let's focus on Seattle for just a second. I didn't think they were going to get off to this kind of start. I wasn't sure that Pete Carroll and the rah-rah, sis-boom-bah college attitude was going to work. It had failed in New York. It had failed in New England. Why is it working so far, at least in Seattle?
Well, Pete's doing a good job out there. The enthusiasm he brings not only to the team, the 12th man, and that community, it's starting to permeate through that locker room. Those guys are starting to believe. Now, the problem they're having right now in Seattle is the cohesiveness. They're moving guys in and out. There's so many transactions going on there that nobody's staying there long enough to get a cohesive unit together. Once they establish that, look for next year to be a solid base, a solid foundation for the Seattle Seahawks. But I like what they're doing out there.
Let's go from surprises to disappointments. And, of course, we're talking about Arizona. And then there are the San Francisco 49ers, who almost everybody had as the probable winner of the NFC West. Who's the bigger disappointment?
Well, I had them to win the division myself, and I think the biggest disappointment right now are the 49ers. I think they're worst in the locker room. The coaches is firing coaches. Their front office is in disarray. So as a team, as an organization as a whole, I would have to give that vote to the 49ers.
They were 8-8 last year. Everybody thought they were on the come. Why have they not been able to build off of what Mike Singletary and company did last year? Well,
as you know, and we've talked about before, this is a quarterback-driven league. If you have a good one, you're going to be good, and you're going to go places and possibly win your division. Alex Smith out there is underachieving. He had a great year last year, not a great year, but a good year last year, and he's really suffered this year in his play, in his production, and really in his leadership qualities. He's lost the confidence of the head coach, and when you do that, you're in trouble.
So as we get set for the second half of the season here, everybody's bunched up in that NFC West. You got the Rams right behind Seattle, Arizona still in the mix at 3-4, and maybe San Francisco not totally out of it yet despite their problems. They're only 2 games out in the win column. What's it going to take for someone to step up and win this division? Well,
it's the old cliche, defense wins championships, and I think the strong defense will surge forward and do that. I think right now the Rams are playing the best on defense. But don't count out the 49ers. They're down in stats. They're down in the overall record, but they probably have the best defense in the division. I like running the ball in these situations. Will shorten the game. Keeps their offense off the field. And to be honest with you, the passing game. The passing game right now I think is going to take it over the top. Third down situations, third down conversions, and the red zone is very important. And I think that'll be the push to whoever wins the division.
Bringing it back to the Rams, 4-4, what has surprised you most about what we've seen over the first half?
You know what surprised me is just the tempo of the defense. I think these guys are in their second year of that defense. It's a no-name defense. There's a lot of guys on there that are playing, I think, above their heads, and it's good to see how Ken Flagel is really letting these guys, he's cutting them loose. They're flying around. There's been a little disappointment with the dropped interceptions and everything, but the pressure that they've applied on the opposing quarterbacks has been really good.
And lastly, if the Rams are to win this division, which I don't think anybody thought was possible as they started training camp in late July, but if they win it, what does it say about the plan crafted by Billy Devaney and head coach Steve Spagnuolo?
Well, it was really Steve Spagnuolo. I think they're two different cats here. They're two different entities. I think what Steve Spagnuolo has brought, he's brought discipline, he's brought direction, and he's brought organization to that, not only to the team and those players, but to that whole organization. I remember him coming in the door, changing a lot of rules, upsetting a lot of people. You can't eat with the team, you can't do this. And it was really refreshing for me because that's how I was running Carolina for my 11 years. So the organization that he brought, the discipline, you know what? It's very good. And with Billy Devaney, what he's going to have to continue to do, he's going to have to continue to get talent for this young team. Right now, the back end of their roster is not very good. They need depth, and depth is very important to trying to win a championship.
The second half of the season will get underway a week from Sunday as the Rams fly out to San Francisco and take on the wounded 49ers. The pregame show Sunday with Tony, Randy Carricker, and Rick Venturi at noon. The kickoff at 3:05 with Steve Savard and DeMarco Farr. For Tony Softli, our 101 ESPN NFL analyst, I'm Cliff Saunders. This has been the Softli Scouting Report, the Week 9 edition, the bye week edition on 101ESPN.com.